Greetings, all! Today, we'll be examining the relatively uncommon normal-type Pokemon Squawkabilly, the Parrot Pokémon. While they might be more obnoxious than a help to some, Squawkabilly are still interesting birds that can make good use of their voices and bodies to make a nuisance out of themselves.
Squawkabilly resemble normal parrots for the most part, their forms covered in feathers from wingtip to tail and head, coming in different colors and white plumage depending upon their population type, also having beige feet with 3 toes and yellow claws per foot, 2 in the front and 1 in the back for stability. Aside from this, their large yellow beak and pinprick black eyes, the most notable attribute of their form is a large black crest that sits on the top of their head, looking very much like a pompadour on their heads. Squawkabilly are fairly unassuming beasts that tend to live and operate much as normal parrots do in their feeding habits, eating small insects or whatever sorts of seeds and grains they can get a hold of, and they tend to flock in the mornings and evenings when the temperatures are cooler, given that they are originally tropical birds that have managed to adapt to the more variable climate of the Paldea region. These birds are known to be extremely social and tend to flock in flocks of up to 50 members or more, though when resting, smaller groups of 6 or so are usually quite adequate as well. While they could flock in lands across their native regions, these birds tend to show a more domesticated side to their behavior in the wild, as they rarely ever travel far from human civilization when they can readily find all the food they need to survive, to the point where they are actually employed for flying taxi services, and thus tend to be a fixture of the grassy fields and surrounding human settlements, fighting with other groups of their kind in order to procure food resources without all heck breaking loose in the process, as well as the occasional fledgling. Their strong sense of community and penchant for hating to be alone means that it is hard to fight these beasts as individuals, and this is not helped by the fact that they also tend to be extremely noisy in their calls and cries. Sadly, unlike Chatot, these birds are not the best singers, and their cacophonous cries can at best be used to generate an uproar attack, but the species preferring to specialize in using physical attacks to defend themselves instead. What really defines the behavior and attributes of Squawkabilly, however, is the fact that they come in 4 different plumage colors, and their behavior and hidden abilities are different depending upon what color they are, which makes sense as specimens of different colors tend to get along fairly poorly. Green plumage Squawkabilly make up the largest and most powerful group and are viewed as rivals by the next largest group, the blue Squawkabilly, the latter of which are known for being extremely jealous and in need of fair treatment to avoid behavioral disputes. Yellow plumage Squawkabilly are especially fierce compared to other types and often engage in vicious close contact with other bird Pokemon to drive them out of towns and whatever else they claim as territory. Lastly, white Squawkabilly have the fewest population numbers, but they are still able to hold onto their territory easily because their feathers help them camouflage against the white buildings of cities in the Paldea region.
Aside from this, the color of their plumage also dictates the types of hidden abilities they can possess. As well, the odd crests and sometimes obnoxious temperament can give them access to intimidate and hustle as base abilities. Green and blue plumage Squawkabilly can have access to gut as a hidden ability as a consequence of their pompous natures, while yellow and white plumage variants can instead have access to sheer force as a hidden ability as a consequence of the lower population numbers and a need to force others away more directly, thus giving them otherwise plain beasts some interesting versatility to those willing to really hunt for them.
As far as their combat abilities are concerned, however, these birds are not the strongest of fighters and don't have much to offer in the way of defense and special powers, but they can at least make decent use of the physical offenses, health, and agility, having an above-average base HP stat for a fully evolved flying-type Pokemon, an above-average base speed stat for a fully evolved normal-type Pokemon, and an above-average base attack stat for a fully evolved Pokemon of both of their types.
As someone that hates birds as it is, these parrots just drive me crazy, and I can hardly stand to be around them. Sure, it's true they are quite colorful and can be fun to observe from a distance, but up close they can be really nasty and noisy, and a headache in almost every sense of the word. While I will admit that they can be tamed fairly easily, and make for great fun if you need to take to the skies to get from one location to the next, but trained specimens always tend to be better to work with, so I can't really give my full approval on that note. At the very least, though, their crests have been a source of amusement for me just because it makes them look quite silly, though for others there might be more of an intimidating presence than a funny one. Either way, while they might not have much to help them stand out in combat, they at least get access to some decent moves, and thus can be worth looking into if you're a bird keeper looking to add something really colorful to your team.
Although they might not always stand out compared to other bird Pokemon, Squawkabilly are still interesting and unique creatures that can make a name for themselves in battle in at least friendly fights. Whether you like them for their colors or their transportation capabilities, these birds can prove to be something in numbers and not worth taking for granted.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure not to make too many parrot and cracker jokes with them if you can help it, or they might just put their massive beak to use to peck at you until you get the message to stop.
Thank you for watching this video. It brings me great joy to be able to speak to you all in the world each and every time we meet like this, to explore the many different facets of both the world of Pokemon as we know it, and the world as we live it, through every adventure we have with Pokemon by our side. If you'd like to, please subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz, to keep yourself updated on content uploads and other materials of the like. You can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know right away when something new is uploaded, and my written works, from which most of this is based on, can be found on DeviantArt. Links to both can be found in the description down below. Remember that the world of Pokemon is a place full of wonder and mystery, and you never know what to expect. So, stay vigilant, keep watch, and always be prepared for the unexpected. Until next time, trainers and friends of all sorts, have a wonderful time.